Welcome back to the show, guys. This is That's What He Said. And this is our What She Said segment. So we have Hailey Loggins here to grace us with her beautiful presence. So introduce yourself, Hailey. Tell us who you are, what you do, what you like, everything.
That's a loaded question. I'm originally from Texas. Moved to Los Angeles when I was 17 to pursue a music career. And I've pretty much been here ever since.
Music and tell us what you do. You're a vocalist.
Yeah, singer-songwriter. We like to call it pop funk. So
Pop funk.
Very like live music. Obviously Earth, Wind & Fire meets me. And yeah, it's just really fun and dancey, and yeah, I've been doing that, and I also have a lot of other endeavors.
And you have some songs out, or you have a song out.
Yeah, technically on Spotify I have Temporary Pleasure out.
Okay. So is your Spotify just Hailey Loggins?
Just Hailey.
Just Hailey.
Yeah, Hailey Temporary Pleasure.
Okay. Hailey.
Hailey.
Temporary Pleasure.
Take a listen.
I know how it goes, but I don't want to sing it. Can you just sing a little bit?
No.
Okay. I'll link it so y'all can hear it. It's really good. It's honestly a really fun song.
Yeah, thank you. I get nervous on this spot, like I'm still that girl.
Aww.
Always. Put me in front of a crowd of 1,000 people, I will wreck them.
Yeah.
Just you? Absolutely not.
That's
I
so
get
funny.
shy. I don't know why. But yeah, I have a lot of fun creative endeavors. I mean, I'm still a Texan, even though I live in California.
Good.
So very much
Texas gal.
on the right path.
On the right path.
If you will.
Yes.
But yeah, love my family, love my friends. I have a boyfriend. He said yes. Yeah, he's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long have y'all been dating?
We've been dating for 7 months.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's something to be accomplished about. Yeah,
Totally.
to be proud of.
Especially in LA.
Yeah. Tell me about that, because most of like the people that I've talked to or that are guests on the show are in Texas or from Texas. Mm-hmm. So what's the difference like between Texas guys, LA guys?
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, I don't know, because I haven't really dated many Texan men. You know, like I don't know, maybe I don't know if there is a difference, but there might be in the sense of just
what are LA guys like? If you were going to stereotype them.
they live in Santa Monica.
Okay. Because I'm picturing like surfer dude, Laguna Beach. The guys, that's what I'm picturing.
I mean, there are those kinds of guys.
Or like just really like weird, super hipster, don't wash their hair kind of guys.
There are so many, like I lived in Echo Park for 5 years, and that's the epitome of a hipster.
Okay.
You know, like they don't shower, they probably have a mullet, they definitely have a mustache, which I'm kind of into that.
Okay.
But I mean, they do shower, but they also they don't shower every day. And they smell
only
like needed. Like Le Labo Santal.
Okay.
33. Like that's literally how they smell when you walk in. They walk into a coffee shop, they're probably wearing something from a vintage secondhand store. There are those guys. Since LA is a transplant city, you have a smorgasbord of people. You have your businessman. You have your, you know, like who's money hungry, invests in real estate, does very well for himself.
Yeah.
Probably doesn't have much faith or family values. Because they want the career, they want the money.
Okay.
Then you have your creatives, obviously, bunch of musicians, artists, actors.
Probably so, like, just tons.
So many. I used to date musicians,
but
decided to not go that route.
Why?
I want to be the musician in a relationship.
Oh, okay.
And most musicians are cheaters.
Wow.
If
Dad, I hope you're not listening.
If they're men.
I mean, that's interesting because I don't know if that's always been true, but I mean, both of my parents are musicians, and neither one of them are cheaters. I mean, my dad's definitely not.
That's just in my experience. I don't think that.
But that was 100 years ago.
Yeah, I don't think that all musicians are cheaters. I think that's a false statement, actually.
Yeah.
But I feel like most of the guys who are pursuing a career, who are young in music,
kind of that like rock and roll
vibes.
lifestyle.
Yeah, definitely. And then you have your surfer guys who, you know, like, it's so funny because I feel like a lot of the surfer guys, like, they work in tech and they have a really good job, but they're super laid back, almost too laid back. And I'm just like, yeah, cool. They're like, so, you know, like, I like you. And they're like, yeah, cool. Then I go, like, grab a beer. And I'm like, not really.
Not really. Like, you've said 2 words.
Yeah, like, they're very minimal.
Okay.
And then you have like a handful of good ones who are good for the most part. Like, if you're just dating, like, they're fun, they are somewhat traditional. That's what I go for.
Yeah.
You know, like, I believe that a man should pay for the bill. Like,
Yeah.
this whole let's split the bill. Like, I'm not going out with my friend. If you asked me out, pay for it.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you can't afford me, don't date me.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Well, and you're not asking for much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even in LA, if you go get tacos, like, it's gonna be $30, unless you go to a taco truck.
Okay.
I mean, it's expensive here. Like,
Yeah.
things are a bit more expensive in LA than they are, you know, in other cities.
So what's been your, like, give like a summary of like your dating history? I mean, since you've been out here, so I mean, basically what, the last 10 years?
Never really had a serious relationship until I was 22.
Okay.
He was a musician, definitely rock and roll, very 80s rock and roll. Love, like,
Was he your age?
Yeah.
Okay.
Loves, like, a little bit older, like 2 years older.
Okay.
Like, loves Motley Crue and definitely, you know, was a party animal. And I was just this little lady from Texas. Like, also, I would say I'm a little bit of rock and roll. Like,
Okay.
yeah, I like a little bit, like I said, like a little bit of grunge. Like, I don't mind that. We dated for 3 years. He cheated. So that was fun.
At what point in the 3 years?
After 2 years.
Okay.
And then he, you know, came pleading back. And of course, I was young and in love.
Yeah.
So I said yes. And then we dated again. And it was just wasn't it, you know?
Yeah.
And that was like a big learning experience for me.
Okay.
Yeah. And then was single for a really long time. I was on dating apps for a little bit, but I hated them.
Same. Why do you hate them? I mean, we probably have the same reasons, but I want to hear what you say.
It's the lack of intention. Like, it's not intentional dating.
Yeah.
Like, it's like.
We just talked about that last night.
It's
like dating with a purpose.
Ooh, this girl's pretty, or this guy's hot, or ooh, they have a good job, they could take care of me. Like all of these different things.
Yeah.
You know, like, that maybe go through someone's head. And
I feel like it's online shopping with humans. That's how people treat it.
that's how a lot of
Sadie.
guys treat it. I don't know if most women treat it that way, but I think guys for sure. It's an easy way for them to meet a lot of women who they find attractive.
Yeah.
And then they get caught up with 4 women that they like, and they're like, where's all my money going? And then they ghost. Because they just can't handle it.
Yeah.
So that's.
Or they never had any intention of sticking around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's serious.
I'm not going to totally hate on dating apps because it does work for some people, but I think that's the exception. That's not like the majority of what happens.
Right.
I think you find a lot of people who are newly out of relationships that are not ready to date. Crazies. Straight up crazies. Sex addicts who are just trying to run through, literally, just swiping right on anything that is decent.
And so then I was single for a really long time, but then I did meet someone on a dating app. And he was like very gung-ho on the first date, like was sold.
Okay.
You know, and I was just like, cool, that's what I like, you know, because I've always been the type that like I know what I want, so if you're good, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know, like if I like you and you like me, then woo, like let's go.
And you're gonna know off the bat if you don't.
Yeah, I like don't need time to like compare and contrast men, like
Yeah.
really. I'm not that kind of girl to date multiple guys and pick the best one. Because that best one could turn out to be trash after a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, like people put their best foot forward most of the time on a first date. And I think it's attractive when a guy knows what he wants and is able to say that. So him and I actually did start dating for we started dating, we dated for 7 months. Then that ended. For a lot of different reasons. I don't know if we should get into it or not, but very toxic, very unhealthy, like abusive.
Okay.
Yeah. So then
Physically abusive?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like all
abusive.
Mentally, emotionally, just like insane.
Wow.
Yeah. And that ended and then never talked to him again. I don't typically like.
Did you end it?
It was like kind of mutual.
Okay.
Yeah. And then after that, I just stayed single. And until the relationship that I have now, I was probably like single, but dating, going on dates.
Yeah.
For, 6 years, 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And like I would go on dates. I'm also like you could call me serial monogamous. Like if I like you, I like you. Sorry if I become a psycho because I like you.
Hey, this is what we need to tell the guys. They think like, oh, she's crazy. Oh, she's too clingy. Oh, she's that. And I'm like, no, it's all of us. We're all like this because of what you just said. Like we like you, we care about you. So we're going to like put effort into the relationship, try to keep you around, try to work on things, like show you that we care.
Yeah.
That's not psycho. That's called liking someone, caring about someone.
Yeah. Guys don't seem to understand that.
No.
Even almost 40-year-old men don't seem to understand that.
Oh, he was 40?
No, I did date a guy for 4 months who was 37.
Okay.
And
wasn't any different?
He was a child. He was 26 mentally. Party animal, drug user, recreationally.
Wow.
And just like
so
led me on, essentially.
I don't know. That's something I'm like trying to figure out. Like the question, like, does age matter? I don't know, because like I've dated guys who are significantly older than me that were terrible.
Yeah.
But also like younger guys are really immature, and then there's guys who are our age who are super mature. Like I don't know what's going on there. Do they mature with age or experience, or is it a choice? I kind of lean towards that it's like their choice. Like it's, you know, that one day they're like, okay, it's time to grow up.
Right. I think it is too. I mean, I think there should be a cap on age difference. Like my cap was 10 years older than me was my cap. I was like, I can't really do anymore because like I don't want to date my dad. Like that seems
your dad's pretty young as me.
Not well. I mean, he would
like
hate
for
me
a dad.
Yeah, for a dad, he's 61.
Oh, okay, that's not. I don't know. I thought he was a young dad.
I mean, he looks
but
great.
Your sisters are much older.
Yeah, 9 years and 7 years older.
Yeah.
So I'm the baby of the family. But yeah, I mean, like that with the 37-year-old is the oldest I've dated, and don't get me wrong, like he was a super fun guy.
Yeah.
But not. I would even say like, if you don't see a future, please let me know. Like.
Right.
Because we were going steady for 4 months.
Going steady.
Yeah. And it was like a situation sometimes too where I was like, I did ask him, I was like, is there anybody else you're seeing? And I've never done that before because I don't like that. That puts me in a very vulnerable, insecure spot.
You don't like bringing it up?
I don't like like bringing it up, and I don't like that action. If a guy is with me and I tell him I like him and I'm kissing him, then what are you doing with other women, sir?
So, in your opinion, how should that go down?
Hi, this dog loves me.
Yeah.
Hi.
Sadie, are you just going to be in the show?
That's okay. You can be here.
You can be here. You're just not very small. Definitely not going to fit there.
It's okay.
Here, get down.
We're
Lay
here
down.
for you.
Lay down.
So cute.
Well,
they would like to talk about their dating experiences as well.
this is the blooper section. Sadie!
Yeah. Oh.
You're wet.
Wow. Oh. There you go. Oh.
Okay, there we go.
Nice. Perfect.
Okay. Who should ask what are we? Should you ask what are we? Is it assumed? What do you think from the woman's perspective?
Definitely don't think it's assumed.
Okay.
Ever.
I think I've made that mistake. Like, because I assume, what you just said, like, we're obviously steadily dating, you're taking me out, like, it's become an intimate situation. Like, so I just kind of make the assumption, well, I wouldn't do this with more than one person at a time. So, like, of course he's not, but I don't think that assumption should be made. Unfortunately.
That's not true for
Yeah.
a lot of men.
Yeah.
You know, I think every situation is different. Every dating relationship is different. And I don't mind asking that question. I don't think it comes off as masculine to ask that question. I think it comes off as protective from the woman because she wants to protect what she has. Like,
okay, protective over the guy.
Protective, yeah, like the protection works both ways. Like,
yeah.
If my goal is to be in a relationship that hopefully leads to marriage and children one day, and a monogamous relationship,
right?
Then why would I not try to get an answer out of the guy that I'm dating?
Yeah.
Who's buying me dinner and introducing me to his friends and like showing those signs.
Right.
Of, you know, this, like, that this is going somewhere. But when I did bring that up, and he said we were in a situationship.
He said that?
After I cooked dinner for him and his friends.
He said we're in a situationship.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
And I was like, I don't do,
what? How did that, like
how
what was your
is this
feeling?
a situationship after like 2.5 months of like seeing each other weekly and like me and cooking dinner for you and your friends?
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
So what happened from there?
I was dumb and kept seeing him because I, you know,
of course,
wanted to.
Yeah.
And I was having fun to an extent, but also realized my anxiety was really hiked up during that time. Like, I would literally go to his house and I'd be like, okay, like on the verge of a panic attack.
Yeah.
And that's my body telling me to run. You know, like, this guy is not for you, and I didn't listen to it.
Yeah.
So, you know, things kept going on, and I don't think that behavior from a woman in a relationship is ever psycho. Like, not that everything is justified, but I would never call it psycho. Like, something is obviously going wrong in order for her to respond that way.
Yeah.
So at one point I blew up his phone because I was just over it. And he said he would call me back, and he's a 37-year-old man, and I expect him to be a man of his word. Sure. If he doesn't do that, then I will become a psycho, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And I did. And I know that when I do that, like, men aren't going to like that.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm not strong enough to walk away from something, and I need to respond that way, so they walk away from me. And I honestly, like, the moment that he finally answered and was like, what are you doing? I was like, well, just calling you.
That's it. What you doing?
You know, said you'd call me back, so hello. And he said, you know, Hailey, how you always ask if I see a future with you? Well, I don't. And he hung up, and I never spoke with him again.
Yeah.
And
you
I
were
was
probably
just
almost
like,
relieved.
Yeah, it was like, there was like a moment of like, this guy, you know, like, oh, like I was just so annoyed.
Yeah.
But then after 3 days, I was like, thank God.
Wow.
I don't want to marry someone who does mushrooms at age 37. I don't want that to be the father of my child.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it just is like a saving grace almost.
Yeah. I think there's something to be said for like the fact that you brought up like what are we, and he said situationship. I'm sort of leaning towards at this point, like if he doesn't bring it up, that's where it should end. Like if you're getting to that place where you know it should be, that conversation should be happening, and you're starting to get that anxiety to that's like, I think I should bring it up, because it is like you're going into protection mode, because you have feelings and you want to solidify this and make sure that you're safe. And I think that should be a deal breaker.
Yeah.
But what's happening is women are doing exactly what you just said. And then when the guy doesn't, either it just, the conversation doesn't happen, so it's just this weird lingering where like nobody's really talking about it.
Right.
Or it is some sort of vague like, well, you know, I really like you, or situationship. They're not saying you're my girlfriend.
Right.
And my only girlfriend. And I don't have a wife or anything else, going on. Because what's happening in our dating culture, like in my opinion, is this enabling. So on our end, we're put in a position that we shouldn't have to be in, because that man should have led the relationship from the beginning, should have brought up that conversation early on to where it was a non-issue. But that's not happening. So then we want that guy, we want that relationship, whether right or wrong, and he gives us some sort of like vague bare minimum level of commitment.
Yeah.
And we stay, we like accept that. And that's enabling someone to treat us wrongly.
Right.
To not commit. You're giving them the girlfriend benefits without having to actually be their girlfriend. And that's on us, in my opinion.
It is, yeah.
Because that's something that's been going on, and now it's like, that's the norm. Like that's what guys have been taught, to think that they can get away with whatever.
Right.
And we have to stop doing that.
Yeah.
And we have to teach our kids to not do that.
I think that this whole world of like not having expectations is actually kind of toxic.
Yeah.
Because having expectations is like a completely natural thing. You know, like if you go to work, you expect to get paid.
Right.
You know, like if you start having like a friendship and you're giving a lot of time and energy to a friendship, you expect kind of the same back, you know, like it might not necessarily be the same, but like expectations are very real. And I think that, I mean, you could say I'm wrong, but I think with the feminist movement, I think that's also tainted a lot of dating relationships and like how our future is progressing in that, because that does like, what's the word? Emasculate. Yeah.
Emasculate. That's a word.
Like the man. So if the man is like, oh, well, the girl movement's really popping off.
Yeah.
I don't need no man. Then why would a man be a man?
Right.
And step up.
Yeah,
and
that's very true.
If that's the case,
we just relinquish them of all their duties and expectations.
Yeah, why wouldn't they have multiple girls?
Yeah, I mean, the feminist movement is basically saying we just need y'all for sex and fun occasionally.
Yeah.
And other than that, I can make my own money and I can do my own thing, and I don't want to be tied down this and that. And so the guys are going, okay, fair game.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of guys are like that in LA because it's very liberal.
That's the culture here.
Yeah. And that's, to me, that sucks for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not that way.
Yeah.
I'm like, why aren't you providing? Why aren't you showing me that you can be a man?
Yeah.
And take care of the situations.
Right.
Like, I want you to lead me, please.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
You know, I've been leading myself for a very long time. I'm tired. Like,
Yeah.
I just want to like be at home and make dinner. Like, you know, like I am like that.
Yeah.
100%. I love, you know, like going out and doing things for myself and all of that.
Sure.
All of the above. I can do it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that I don't want a man to step up and be a man.
Right.
Because they are wired that way.
I think we got duped.
Yeah.
I think that they're like what we were fed growing up, like the propaganda. I don't know when that changed in our culture, but I really feel like we got duped into thinking like being a strong, independent woman like was the way to go.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying everybody needs to like quit their job and go home and be a homemaker at all. I
Right.
love my job. I love what I do. I love my independence, but it's gone too far.
You can still be a strong, independent woman and also be a housewife.
Yeah.
You can be both.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, it really does take a strong, independent woman to be able to take care of a household.
Yeah. And it's been this domino effect where, like I was saying earlier, now it's trained or taught men as a collective that they don't have to be men, be strong, be forward, be leaders,
Yeah.
be loyal, like men of character.
Right.
It's just kind of, they just do whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big reason for the ghosting, a big culprit of the ghosting.
Yeah.
So did you watch Trey's episode, right? Why do men ghost?
Yeah.
Okay, what were your thoughts on that?
I think he had some very valuable insight. I also think it's hard to pinpoint. I think it is hard to pinpoint why men ghost. There's not just one collective why. You know, I feel like everyone's different. I feel like his approach to why was very kind. I was like, oh, Trey, like,
Well,
that's Trey.
Yeah, I mean, he's a kind person.
Yeah,
so
yeah. And I don't feel like that's always the case. And I feel like all of ghosting, I feel like the only one of the major culprits of all ghosting is fear.
Okay. In what sense?
Of it, and if like the man not feeling like he's enough, fear of getting into a relationship again because they were just in one, fear of, you know, hurting the girl, fear of not being able to provide, fear. I feel like there's just a lot. Fear of maybe the girl was like a little overbearing.
Yeah.
Fear of that happening again. You know, like I'll be the first to say I can be overbearing. I'm a very intense person. I always have been.
Yes.
And I've always been very opinionated and have like spoken up. Like been straightforward.
I think a better word is vibrant. You're vibrant and dynamic.
Thank you.
Yeah, intense is not nice.
Okay. I mean, I've been called intense multiple times, and I'm like, sweet. Cool, sounds good. I'd rather be intense than passive.
That's true, yeah.
You know?
You don't want to be boring.
Yeah. So I think it's just like a lot of fear.
Fear of leaving their bachelor lifestyle and worried that the married lifestyle won't measure up to how much they enjoyed the bachelor lifestyle.
Right.
So they are afraid of like, do I want to leave this behind and move into this, commit to being a husband or a boyfriend or whatever, and then what if I can't go back and I'm not happy?
Yeah.
Which is a totally twisted backwards way of thinking of marriage.
Right.
Because marriage is supposed to be one of the sweetest, like most amazing things that we experience on earth.
Yeah.
If you do it the right way, you know, according to God's design, that, you know, it brings us as close to God as you can get.
Right. One thing I do remember is when he said, like, say a guy ghosted you and he's watching your story now, or like watching you, you know, like, I don't necessarily agree with like, oh, he's just checking in.
Yeah, tell me, what do you think think that is?
Why? He didn't check in when he ghosted you, so why does he check in now? Like,
yeah.
It's because he's missing something. Like, he's seeking when, you know, like, it really is true, and I don't care if you are the most feminine guy in the world, you're still seeking something. You are the hunter. You know, like, that is how men are wired. And things can happen mentally, like traumatically, that maybe steer men away from those types of natural instincts.
Yeah.
But I feel like most of the time they are always seeking. They seek money. They do. Like, they seek money. They go after that career most of the time.
Yeah.
Like, there are those deadbeat guys.
Sure.
But we just don't hang out with them. You know? And
that's not the majority.
Yeah, that's just not the majority. Like,
yeah.
That's a whole different conversation in itself. But men are seekers. Men, they seek money. They seek good jobs. They seek stability. They do. And I don't understand why. I guess the dating multiple can be a part of their seeking nature for men, but I don't think that happens for women.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
And I think if you are doing that, like, you've probably been hurt so bad that you just want your options so that you don't get hurt like you have before.
Yeah.
And that's based out of fear.
Yeah.
We stay in everything that might be toxic because of fear. Fear of being alone, fear of dating again. You asked about if he wanted to, he would. And I think if you are truly a man who knows what he wants, he does.
Yeah.
I believe that.
I do. I think that's a very simple concept. That's true. And I really think there's really no denying it. You can try to justify if he's not, like, if he's not doing it, but he really wants to, but this is why he's not ready. He has trauma, you know, this and that. But, like, then that means he doesn't want to. He's not ready to.
Right.
The problem is now I'm going to speak for myself. Like, it's really hard to accept that when it's someone that, like, you see the potential in the relationship, or you see the potential in him, or, like, I feel like I will see in this amazing guy, like, I can see how amazing he is. I see him way up here. Yeah. But if he sees himself way down here, then that's all that matters. Right. Like, he's not capable, he's not ready, he doesn't want it, he's aiming low. The hard part is to accept that he doesn't want it. He ghosted you.
Yeah.
He straight up told you he's not committing to you. He said, I'm not ready for a relationship. He's basically telling you, I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to leave you.
Yeah.
But I continue to chase it.
Yeah. And that's the fixer in women.
Yeah.
We want to fix the situation.
How do we stop doing that?
You literally gotta, like,
because that's the enabling. That's
scream in your
how
pillow.
We got here.
Yeah, scream in your pillow and just be like, I'm not gonna do this anymore.
It's hard. I mean, it's hard to, like, stop it in its tracks too. For me, like, and you're much wiser than me, but, like, everything for me is always in retrospect, and I can go back and see every, like, wrong step I took, and I'm like, but it just happened. Like, it was just this, like, whirlwind, this spiral that just happened. And then I look back and I'm like, who did that? That wasn't even me. Like, that wasn't logical. That wasn't smart. And I'm a very logical and smart person. I think a lot of women feel that way. And they look back and they're like, that was stupid. Like you were saying, I was young and stupid.
Yeah. We are definitely and can definitely be enablers, 100%. I don't see that as a fault necessarily. Well, enabling is a fault if they're doing something extremely, like, wrong, in my opinion. Like, they're treating you wrong.
Yeah. But enabling an abuser, an alcoholic, a cheater.
But there's also, like, we always find good in people, I feel. Like, I think women naturally do that. You know, so-and-so might be X, Y, and Z, but he's so good at this, and this.
Yeah.
You know,
so
and I really like that about him.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to get that in anybody else. Like, that's how we justify it in our heads, I think. Because, I mean, I've been guilty of that.
Yeah.
And also just, like, not having boundaries. I've been so bad at boundaries. And now I do have boundaries.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think those are also learned during a relationship. But when it does come to ghosting, I mean, I've been ghosted multiple times.
You have?
Yeah. And there have been times where it's been like, I don't understand why. Like,
all you want to know is why.
yeah,
It's the
like
most
just
frustrating.
talk to me, dude. Like, you look like you have a tiny little shrimp. Like, that's, in my opinion, like, why are you running away? Like, we had this, to me, like, a week, if you're talking to me 3 days out of 1 week, like, dude, you're in love with me. Like, obviously. That's honestly how my mind is. And, like, because guys don't, if they're not going to, they can talk to you for one day and then usually they're gone. You know, it's like they found someone else on their dating app or whatever that they like talking to better.
Yeah.
But it's like if it's 3 days in a row and or even if it's like 1 day a week out of a month or whatever, like
it's consistent.
It's consistent to an extent. Like obviously we're waiting to figure out like what are we doing here?
Right. Where's this going?
Because I've always been up front. Like I've literally told a guy on Bumble, I'm looking for a husband. I want to have kids in the next 5 years. Like, can we do that? Are you down or not down?
Let me know now.
You know, like very upfront.
Yeah.
And I was like that with my boyfriend now. And I was like, just so you know, like if we start dating, like I've dated. I've gone on many dates. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to quote unquote date you. Like we're either committed relationship and it's going towards marriage or we're not going to do it at all. Mm-hmm. That's how I am now.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to waste my time.
So were all the guys who ghosted you like, what was like the time frame?
I mean, it's been all over the place.
Really?
Yeah. Like it would have been nice to know why the guy who, after I called him a lot, why he just said all of a sudden he doesn't see.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been nice to have a conversation with him and be like, look, I know I called you a lot, but I'm sorry.
Aside from, well, but he was ghosting you before that, right? I mean, he was starting to. You were calling him, you were blowing him up because he was already pulling away, it sounds like.
Yeah. Like
so something happened. He was already feeling something or doing something before you blew up his phone.
He was very confusing. He would be like, he would call me and be like, something reminded me of you today and this and this and this. And then I wouldn't speak to him for like a week. And then it would be like, hey, come over, I miss you. Like, let's go to dinner. And he would wine and dine me. And then I wouldn't speak to him for 2 weeks. And then it was just like, it was a freaking roller coaster with him. And then it started to get a bit more consistent. And when it was a bit more consistent is when I started becoming a bit more persistent.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so.
Well, it's like he's dangling a carrot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was chasing that carrot. I wanted that carrot bad.
That itty bitty carrot that he had.
Exactly. But yeah, and then all of a sudden, because I made that one move, he ran.
But that's a cop out. That's
right.
not why he ran.
Right.
So I think that happens. I think again with the ghosting, we don't really ever know why, but I think I can relate to that where someone was pulling away or you just felt like an inconsistency that as a woman it just like puts you on high alert, and so you start trying to like reel it back in or trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
And if you're calling them a lot or saying certain things or you get mad or whatever, then that they use that to like deem you as crazy or clingy or psycho so that they can run, which is a total cop out. And I feel like that's completely orchestrated on their end, whether it's conscious or not. It's not fair.
Well, yeah, it's not fair. It's just immature. Yeah. Honestly, like it's just an immaturity issue. I feel like with guys, they don't really care. They don't think about the other person in the relationship or situationship or conversation.
Whatever it is, yeah.
And that I think that's just because of a lack of maturity and men not understanding their emotions. Because not a lot of men know how to handle emotions.
Yeah. And that's kind of what, that's part of what we talked about on Josh's episode. Why are dominant women less desirable to men? And what you just described kind of shows that the roles are almost reversed, or there's like a lag in like the men's maturity and development of their emotional intelligence. So we shouldn't have to be the ones that are like always so dominant and forward, like you said, and telling things the way they are, and then guys are just, they're not stepping up.
Right.
They're not being honest. They're not being forward.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Because you're a very dominant personality, I would say. I would be surprised if no one's ever described you that way.
I've been described that way. Yeah.
And also just very independent. How has that affected your dating life?
I actually find that a lot of guys have liked me because of that, but I also am not like domineering. I don't think. Like I can do everything by myself. Like I know how to do that.
Yeah.
I know how to do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But I've been very upfront in my femininity but I don't necessarily want to all the time. Like I'm still very much so, I don't know how to, like a traditional, like I have a very traditional mindset when it comes to like home life and family life. Like very traditional.
Yeah.
Because I've seen so many different families being ripped apart because they're not, like they're not traditional. Yeah. So, or because of like lack of emotional intelligence from a man, or being a woman who's domineering over a man, like belittling a man who makes him then feel insecure and like not confident in the relationship. Like there are certain things that go on, but I think that while I am a very like dominant personality and very much so a go-getter, I know what I want, like my eye is on the prize. I think that I bring like a healthy balance of like, I don't know, girliness. I don't know what you would call it. Like,
yeah, you have a softness to you, and like almost like an innocence that you typically don't see with someone who has been through all the things that you've been through and done all the things that you've done, and knows how to change a tire and stuff.
Exactly. I'm just on the 405 changing my own tire. No, I would never do that. I'd get ran over probably. But I have
you could.
I could.
Yeah.
But my tail light was out and I was like, oh, I think I need to fix this. So I literally grabbed a wrench and I was like, I fixed my tail light.
No, I would be lost. I would be like, well, that's just, I'm gonna have to pay $500, I guess, to get it fixed.
Oh gosh. No, I just go to AutoZone, buy it, and then one of the little Mexicans, if that's allowed, if I'm allowed to say that, do you need help? No, it looks good, right? And they're like, yeah, good job.
Yeah.
Like, that's honestly a little bit rewarding. Like,
yeah.
With the saying of like, I don't need a man. Yeah, we don't. I do want it to have kids. I need a man.
Yeah. I think that what you just said is that's really insightful, that you can be a dominant woman without being domineering in your relationship.
Yeah.
That, I've never even heard that or thought about that, but that's like a great way to describe it, because it's going to be necessary if you want a successful relationship and marriage to sort of like leave that dominance at the door when you walk into your home, which is not easy, but I think it's more of it has to be intentional.
Right. Yeah.
And you have to know how to do that. And if you're dating and you're not with a man that's able to lead and allow you to sit back and just be feminine and feel safe and secure, then you're never even going to be able to put that into practice.
Right.
So you're just always going into a relationship like this, like, on guard and ready to take care of yourself when they let you down, when they hurt you, when they don't show up. And that's no way to like go into a relationship. I mean, that's just, it's doomed from the start.
Yeah. I think there's something to say about like, hypothetically speaking, say you know, you work a 9 to 5 and you're like a CEO woman. Like you have a lot of responsibility in the office or in your own business or wherever.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's awesome for a woman to be able to dominate those situations and lead, because women are good leaders because we do have emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
But then being able to literally come home and take off your heels and throw your hair up in a bun and just start like decompressing I truly decompress by cooking dinner.
Yeah.
By making homemade pasta and like making my sauce. I like, it's so therapeutic for me. I love feeding other people.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that brings me so much happiness.
Yeah.
So in order, like, with that being said, and coming home and doing that, if you are in a relationship or married, the man is able to listen to you because you did have a hard day, because you're emotional. A lot of crap probably happened. You want to be able to talk about that.
Right.
In a safe space and unload.
Yeah.
Essentially.
And like someone to like hold you and listen.
Yeah. And like for me, even in my relationship now, one thing that I notice about him is that he's like, how was your day? And then I'll vent and he'll say things. He never like really points out the hardship. He just praises like the good things. I'm proud of you for doing this, you know, like, and I think too, like I never got a lot of praise as a kid, like growing up. So when someone is proud of me, I really feel that. And if my man is proud of me, I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not because I necessarily need that. I'm proud of myself for doing what I've done, but it's nice when someone says like, I'm proud of you. Like, you're amazing.
Yes. I think someone saying I'm proud of you, no matter who it is, it's more than a compliment. I mean, it does something like to your spirit. Just to hear, I'm proud of you. I'm so proud of what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's something that I would say within the last year or two, I try to say more often to everyone in my life. That people don't say enough. Because, you know, just the culture of like competition and jealousy and comparison, I think keeps people from even being comfortable saying that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm proud of you.
Oh, thank you. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
So in talking about, you know, like with dominant women and how this is affecting our relationships and how men are viewing us, I think that there needs to be a mindset shift in the way that men view women like us, because we're not going anywhere.
Right.
We're not changing. Women are not going to stop working, especially in the economy that we live in, like in this country. It's just, I mean, it's really not even feasible for most people to have only one working person in the household or one working parent.
Yeah.
So that we can't change.
Yeah.
But we can change the way that we think about it and the way that we see the relationship and the dynamic.
Yeah.
I wrote down like a lot of descriptions that I have heard from men about me and sort of what I think them saying those things is like what it's really what they're really telling themselves.
Right.
When they say you're this, what it says back to them in their mind.
Okay.
So, like I've been described as you have a very dominant personality. I think what they're really saying in that internally is you're masculine. So, because a guy saying you're dominant right now, it doesn't mean you're strong and smart and capable and you're amazing. It has a negative connotation to it.
Right.
9 times out of 10. Or saying like you have RBF.
Okay.
So that to me sounds like you don't act like a Disney princess.
Right.
You're not smiley and giggly in your pretty pink ball gown.
Yeah.
But really you're just sitting there
enjoying a cocktail.
Just thinking, doing nothing.
Yeah.
Is that not okay?
Which is what so many men do.
Yeah. So you have RBF. You don't act like a Disney princess. You have a very dominant personality. You're masculine. You're a hustler. You're not vulnerable. You have your shit together. you're not a damsel in distress ready for me to save.
Yeah.
You're hard to read. You're cold. You're not like other girls. Something is wrong with you. You're spicy. That's my favorite one. You're spicy. You're going to argue with me. You're going to push back. You're very opinionated. You're going to push back on my ideas. We could be a power couple. I can't control her. So it's like these sugar-coated sort of phrases in disguise, in my opinion, that are toxic because they're making it sound like these great things. And maybe it's subconscious. Maybe they want it to be. Maybe they're trying to tell themselves that this is a good thing.
Yeah.
We can be a power couple. That sounds great. Let's be Beyonce and Jay-Z.
Yeah.
But how well did that work out for them?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I think internally for men, it doesn't translate that way. They might be saying it verbally, but internally they're going, how am I going to handle this? How am I going to be able to control this and lead this?
Right.
So, and maybe you have some insight because you're currently in a relationship, but what would you say to that? I mean, how would you say that we as women can help facilitate that sort of mindset shift in the men, or what would you say directly to the men?
Yeah. I honestly, I don't know if you're asking this, but I don't know if we can help facilitate a mindset shift.
Okay.
I think the way we do communicate can be a bit different. Instead of lashing out and being spicy, fiery, which I am most of the time. But like, instead of doing that, and sometimes it's out of our control. Like, women's hormones are crazy.
Yes.
So, and men need to understand that.
Yes.
You know, like, women's hormones are ridiculous.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different factors that go into that. But I think that a healthy mindset comes from truly learning and understanding your partner, whether they're dominant or not. And for me, my boyfriend now, he doesn't really see me as dominant. He knows I'm strong. But his mindset, because of who he is and the choices he has made, is she's going to argue with me because she's passionate. She's dominant because she's passionate about what she cares about. She wants to see change. It's more so, it's not dominance to him, it's passion. It's charisma. It's strength. Like, you're not always going to see eye to eye with your partner. Like, you're going to have different opinions. And luckily him and I have a lot of the same opinions. There are a few that, are like, we clash a little, and I do argue because I am very passionate. And even if we argue, he will lead the conversation and the argument into making sure that I don't get spicy, because he doesn't want to upset me, and vice versa.
Yeah.
He says, look, I'm not trying to like stir the pot. I like how you're thinking about this because I know you're passionate about it.
Yeah.
And he's
he
like,
knows where it's coming from.
Yeah, but I also am too. And like, we can find a happy medium. Like, that's awesome. Instead of being like, you're crazy. You're so,
You're
manly.
overreacting.
You're
Yeah.
Like, men that just shut down.
Yeah.
And can't deal.
Yeah.
Which then is going to make our rage higher.
Yeah.
Because we're like, lead the situation.
Right.
Don't make me fight you.
Yes.
And
that opens up the door for that enabling, because then when everything simmers down, you make a choice. Are you going to stay and let that continue to happen and let him continue to behave that way and show him that he doesn't have to change or change his mindset?
Right.
Or are you going to walk away?
Yeah. And I think that people need to learn how to, like, fight. People need to learn how to fight, because you're going to. Like, you're supposed to argue in a healthy way, especially in a marriage.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not, one of you is being complacent, and one of you is demeaning your value and your morals in order to meet someone else's values and morals. But
so you don't think we can do anything to facilitate a mindset shift, or is it just we just got to keep searching for a guy who's already there?
Well, maybe you can, in the sense of, like, for example, I got mad the other day.
Okay.
And I wanted to lash out. I just wanted to be mean.
What were you mad about?
Video games.
Okay.
Because these guys in their games.
Understandable.
I don't understand it.
Yeah.
And it's by no means a problem, but like, I'm the most important, so it's time to get off. Like, it's time to get off.
Yeah.
And I didn't lash out. I just said, I'm sad and I need you to get off. Mm-hmm. He said, okay, well. And that was me saying that I was I had emotions, but I wasn't like overreacting or begging him to do something like in a toxic way.
Okay.
Like, and then I was like, why do you sound mad at me? And he's like, I'm not, I just don't understand. And I said, I made dinner and you got on the games before we ate and you didn't get off when we ate. Mm-hmm. And then you kept playing. And he was like, well, you said you had homework. And I said, I did. And I told you when I was done. Mm-hmm. And that just made me sad because
you wanted to eat together. You wanted him to take the time away. Yeah.
Yeah. And just kind of approaching things in that soft way.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that guys know how to respond when we get really fiery.
Yeah.
You know, they shut down because they don't understand their emotions and they also don't want to heighten ours. So I feel like maybe that does make if they were scared, makes them kind of like, oh gosh, she's going to be pissed and yell at me and God knows what else, you know, like instead of like, hey, your actions made me feel this way and I'm telling you this because I love you and I want you to love me back in the way that I need to be loved.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think that can help shift a guy's mindset in the sense of like how they communicate and how they treat us. Because there are some guys who will get scared and retreat back, or they will really fight back and start yelling at us back. And then it's just this bickering back and forth and then nothing gets solved.
It's like one extreme or the other. Yeah.
So nothing gets resolved. So then like after I was like, I'm going to have homework because I'm in school full time almost every day. So can we make a plan next time?
Yeah.
You know, like how are we going to be proactive in fixing this so you don't feel bad for making me feel bad. And I then know that my expectations of you are going to be met.
Yeah.
You know, because I do. Like I cooked steak dinner for you.
Yeah. I think that's important for women is to be able to like communicate your emotions and not expect the guy to read your mind.
Yeah.
And explain why you're feeling the way that you do because they literally don't get it. They don't understand that the way we feel is different every single day for 28 days and then it starts over. Like they don't get it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of women are getting it wrong there in just writing off guys when they don't understand how we're feeling.
Yeah.
And just like, he doesn't get it. He's an idiot. Guys are so dumb. Which they can be.
They can be.
But that's not going to get you anywhere.
Right.
Just saying that over and over and just saying that as a way to excuse your behavior.
Yeah.
We have to explain it to them in a rational way.
Yeah.
And maybe if not everyone has the self-control to like approach it calmly in the moment, the way that you did, like being able to like excuse yourself.
Right.
Like if you're getting too spicy,
Yeah.
go simmer down and come back to it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're literally showing guys that they're right, that we're crazy. If all you ever do is every time you get emotional, you act crazy.
You lash out. Yeah.
Then they're like, this
No
is
guy's
what I'm
gonna want to
talking
deal
about.
with that.
Yeah.
Like any man
Yeah.
is gonna want to be like, okay, well, this is my next 50 years.
Yeah. I wonder truly, and this is just me because I'm so straightforward and like just call things out and blunt. like when guys describe us in these certain ways of saying you're dominant or oh you're not like other girls or whatever, like to stop it in its tracks and be like, I don't appreciate that description, or I don't agree with it, or I think a better description is like you're very strong or you're very passionate. Obviously we can't change every single guy out there, but to just start like changing the narrative and the language that people use. Language is everything.
Yeah, it really is. I think it honestly makes or breaks everything in life is communication. And honestly, like communication is learned. Like it's not just going to be easy peasy right out the bat. Like when you're learning somebody and you're in a relationship with them, you're constantly learning new things, how to talk, how they fight, how their emotions run, you know, like
it's never
going
it's
to
not
be...
always just this like Instagrammable
no.
fairy tale. And I think that social media, there's so much to say about that and how it's affected us dating, but it definitely creates unrealistic expectations. And, like, for example, okay, so have you ever cold plunged? Okay, me too. I do it all the time. It's great. And it's super trendy right now.
Yeah.
So, if you're watching a video of somebody doing this, it looks great. The way you describe it, you feel amazing afterwards. You have this high, you have so much energy, all your pain is taken away, like, makes you skinnier, like, just all the things.
Yeah.
But nobody is explaining what happens while you're doing it.
Right.
It's extremely like painful and hard to do. I mean, it's a mind game.
Yeah.
Like you have to build up a tolerance for it. So, people like might look at a relationship as like cold plunging. I'm like, oh, I want that. I want to feel that way. I want to look that way. And post that video or whatever, like, look this way to the outward world and get all the feel-good feelings from it without really realizing that in practice, it's really hard and painful and that you have to work for it.
Right.
You don't just jump in a cold plunge the first time you ever do it and stay in there for 10 minutes.
No.
It's not going to happen.
Right.
Yeah, you're lucky if you make 10 seconds.
How cold is the water during your cold plunges?
It's about 45 degrees.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you?
I've done like cold plunges in the ocean.
Okay.
So it can be like that, but I honestly feel like if you're in there, you start getting used to it. In my opinion.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, for sure.
But it is like once you get in, you're like,
well,
like it takes away your breath.
Every single time when you first do it, it's going to take your breath away and it's going to feel shocking to the body. But the more often you do it, the more used to it you get. I mean, you adapt.
Right.
And then every time you go into it, you know what to expect. You know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And you know how to handle it.
Right.
And then it goes by quicker because you know that it's going to be worth it in the end. You know the feel-good feelings that are coming afterwards.
Right.
You feel accomplished. I mean, you can last longer. You have more stamina.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't make it like an easy task.
Right.
It's always going to be work.
Right.
For me, at least, my brain every time before I do it is like, no, please, no.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like going back to the relationship on how it is like that.
Yeah.
It is because when you start experiencing all the things with your partner and then, like it's going to be new in the beginning. And there might be new arguments and new fights and new things, but at least at the end, that you're going to be able to like get through that with the appropriate amount of work and understanding of like the end result.
Right.
And like to think that a marriage doesn't take work is crazy.
Yeah. I actually literally went on a date with a guy who tried to convince me, and for a couple hours he had me convinced.
Yeah.
That relationships shouldn't be work. I mean, I don't know how many times he said that, at least a dozen. That he was saying like, you shouldn't try to change someone. These were his two main rules. I think there were three, but I remember two. You should never try to change your partner. and don't take anything personally. And if you just do those things, then you'll never have to work in a relationship. Because anytime that you're upset, if I'm upset with you, I'm either trying to change something about you or I'm taking something personally.
Right.
So if you can just never do those two things, then you shouldn't have to work. And if a relationship gets to the point where you're having to work at it, then you shouldn't be in it anymore. He literally, that's his stance on relationships.
Well, if that's the case, he's going to be single for the rest of his life.
Well, he is single and he's like 40 something and he's had like multiple live-in long-term relationships. But
I also don't agree with that.
yeah. I mean, he's obviously a mess, but
Yeah.
but I was really sitting there questioning myself afterwards, and I was like, have I had it wrong this whole time?
Yeah.
Like, is it supposed to be easy? Maybe this is what's going wrong. I'm trying to work at something that should be that you not supposed to work at. I mean, it was the most backwards thing I've ever heard. And then I was like, well, let's first of all look at his track record. Okay, that's not working out for him.
Right.
So I don't think he's right.
It sounds like he doesn't understand that marriage is actually a sacrifice.
Yeah.
Because truly it is. Like, when you truly love someone and you're like trying to actually take care of someone else's mind and soul and heart, you're going to have to sacrifice sometimes. I'm not saying to an unhealthy, like sacrificial way.
Yeah.
But it does. It takes a little bit of sacrifice.
Yeah.
And to me, like the people that I know who have both sacrificed a little bit here and there, not with the major things, but like with the little things, is their marriage is like the healthiest. Because they're not in a marriage to get, they're in a marriage to give.
Yeah.
You know? And I feel like that also goes back to like the tradition of marriage. You know, like the man provides, if we're speaking really, really traditional,
Yeah.
the man provides the income, the money, the man provides the house. Like there's a pastor, and he was like, the man will give you the house and the wife will give you a home.
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
And, you know, like, what is it? What did he say? About babies. Like, I can't remember exactly how he put it, but it would sound vulgar if I tried to say it right now.
Okay.
But like, you know, like you get married you have sex. Sex isn't just sex. You can create a living human being.
Right.
Like, the woman will give you babies. So you're literally giving to each other.
Yeah.
In every sense. And I think we've definitely lost that.
Yeah.
As a society. Like, people are against monogamy nowadays, especially in our age range. And they just want to literally cohabitate, have all the sex in the world, get abortions, and live with no cares. You know?
Yeah.
Because they just want to take.
Yeah.
No one wants to give anymore. So if we actually like sit back and understand like that relationships are meant to give to each other,
Yeah.
then you actually get the greatest gift.
Yeah.
And that's a healthy marriage.
I think that's something that really needs to be reevaluated within people who are dating. Because a lot of good people, and a majority of people, are not going to be Christians. But that doesn't mean that they're not traditional or that they're not good people.
Right.
So most people want love and marriage and family, or something that looks similar to that.
Right.
So a lot of single people are finding themselves like, I've been chasing and searching in this relationship, and then it failed, and try and fail, and everyone's just like, where is he or where is she? Like, what am I doing wrong? Where am I getting this wrong?
Yeah.
And that's something that I call out a lot, is like, well, what is your motive when you're dating? Because I feel like for the majority, it's all about, what can you do for me? What can you offer me? What do you bring to the table? How can you make me happy? And that is set up for failure.
Right.
because that other person's never going to make you happy. They're not, their purpose in your life, their role in your life, dating or marriage, should not be to offer you something. That shouldn't be how you look at it.
Right.
I think your motive needs to be, what can I do for you? How can I serve you?
Yeah.
How can I grow with you, and so that you make me better and I make you better, so that
Right.
together we are better than we are apart.
Yeah.
But you can't do that if you're always looking at, how can this person satisfy me? How can you benefit my life financially? How can you satisfy me sexually? How can you give me a better life than I can give myself? I mean, just everything's me, take.
Yeah.
And that's the dating culture that we're living in. So it sounds insane.
Yeah.
You're trying to get something out of an environment that we've created where that thing that you're seeking doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I mean, and then we're trying to like remedy that by doing worse things. So you're like, just adding fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
And there's a saying of like, you can't get better in the environment that made you sick.
Right.
So, I mean, that's sort of my goal for the podcast, is like, well, this environment has made us all emotionally sick. We're all emotionally and spiritually deprived because of this
Right.
environment that has been created for us, / we've created ourselves.
Yeah.
And we're not just going to like magically snap our fingers and find what we're looking for
Right.
in this like shambles, these shambles that we've created.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to fix the environment. The only way to do that is to start with us.
Right. Yeah. I think too that, and I mean, this is going to be a controversial topic,
Let's hear it.
but I think that faith has a big role in a relationship.
Yeah.
And I've dated many guys who are not believers, and I've been Christian for a long time. You know this.
Yeah.
We know this about each other, and I've dated a lot of guys who just like don't have that belief system at all, and in my opinion, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's an unhealthy sacrifice. That was an unhealthy sacrifice for me to make, because a guy wouldn't understand, like, if God put an idea in your head and you follow that idea, and a guy who was your husband or your boyfriend would be like, oh, that's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
he didn't.
That was your idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it wasn't.
Like, no, because that's how literally they literally go head to head.
Right.
So how do you expect a marriage relationship to work when you go head to head with your core belief?
Yeah.
You can't. And if it does work, more so than not, you are sacrificing your morals and your values.
Yeah.
Period. Because I've done it.
Yeah.
And it was a slippery slope for me, honestly.
It is a slippery slope.
Yeah, because once you kind of fall into the world, then it just sucks you in. Like, it really does.
Yeah.
And that's why I personally believe that, you shouldn't, as mom and dad say, shack up.
Yeah.
Because there are studies that show it just doesn't work.
There are studies that show, that's definitely a hot take. That's definitely a controversial opinion.
Yeah, whether you're Christian or not.
Or not. Yeah.
Like, Christians have done it, and they've bye.
I mean, yeah, Christian or of any religion or not. I mean, the statistic shows that if you live together before you get married, you're more likely to get a divorce.
Right.
Look it up.
We'll look it up. Yeah.
But, yeah, there's definitely something to that. And I think no matter what faith you are,
Yeah.
that's huge. You really have to be aligned. I mean, there's definitely people who do it that are of different religions,
Yeah.
but I couldn't personally attest to how well that works out.
Right.
But I would even argue that a husband and wife that are both religious, even if they're different religions, so you have a Jew and a Christian,
Yeah.
that relationship is going to work out better than someone who is a Christian and atheist.
Right. Yeah, because there is still like a faith there.
Yeah.
Of, of some sort.
Yeah.
But I do also think that it can foster a lot of confusion, especially if you're going to bring kids into the world.
Yeah. What is something that you regret or would do differently in your dating history?
Not chase. Not chase.
That's a quick answer. Usually there's a big long sigh after I ask.
No,
but you didn't
I know
even
my
have to
faults.
think about it. Yeah.
I know my faults. Yeah, I definitely I can be, what did you say?
What did I say? A fixer?
No, you turned it into something nice. I can
vibrant?
Yeah, I can be intense. Like, if I liked you, I'm going for it. I will prowl.
Passionate, dynamic.
Yeah. And I think that can be a good thing in certain aspects of life, but maybe not necessarily a dating relationship, especially since I am more so a traditionalist.
Because it would lead you to chase after what you want.
Yeah, which was more than likely the wrong person.
Yeah.
So, and I think that goes hand in hand with not having boundaries and putting myself in situations where it was of course that happened because I did not have.
What did you think was going to happen?
Yeah, I didn't have any boundaries with that, or I trusted too fast, even though I didn't really trust at all. There's a lot of different things.
Yeah,
I
get it.
I trusted the idea of what could be.
The story you made up.
Yeah. I trusted that idea, and it has gotten me into so much just turmoil.
Yeah.
And then I realized I just need to stop. I really just need to stop being that way.
Stop doing that. Yeah.
And then I met.
Yeah.
He was actually very gung-ho on me, and at first I was like, oh gosh, because I had just gotten done with the 37-year-old a month before. Even though I was I knew what I wanted, I'm ready. And I kept saying, I told him no. I was like, no, not yet. I'm just going to hang out for a sec. I don't know. It's fast. I do like you, but I don't, really trying to hold some time.
Yeah.
And he just he allowed me that time. And chased after me, and I didn't do any chasing. Best relationship I've ever been in.
Aww.
Yeah.
And that's a common story. I'm going to take a very bold mental note of that because some other successful couples have said the same thing, same storyline.
Yeah.
That, when it's the right guy, but you're not ready, it's almost like the timing is intentional of where God wants you to be in a place where you're not ready and you say no, and you're intentionally pumping the brakes and you need space and time.
Yeah.
And it shows you and then also motivates the guy to have patience and wait and be persistent and for him to chase. It sets it up perfectly.
Yeah, it does. And my sister, that's how it was with her and her husband now. He asked her out and she said no. And then fast forward.
Here they are.
Yeah, fast forward a week later, and she was like, "Oh, maybe I should. I don't know."
Yeah.
And she met him at Pete's Coffee and was like, "Is your offer still on the table?"
I like that. Very dominant thing to say.
She's also a very independent woman. And he said, "No, my ship has sailed, actually."
Oh yeah.
Being it
Big
was
talk.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
And they dated for 6 months and they got married. That's it.
Wow.
They've been together ever since.
That's amazing.
And I love them. They're probably they're my role models.
Your role models.
Because I've never seen anybody else have a good marriage. So those are definitely those two humans are my top that I'm this is how it should be.
I think that's really important too because so many of us do come from broken and or dysfunctional households nowadays. it's really important for people, both men and women, to find role models. Like actually like look for it, search for it, find those people and befriend them.
Yeah.
Literally ask for mentorship
Yeah.
if you are serious about wanting to be married.
Right. Yeah.
Otherwise you are who you hang out with.
Yeah. You're kind
Misery
of going
loves
in
company.
blind.
You're just
Yeah.
going to be floating around, not without any direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also good too, because when you do have those mentors, they can be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Stop.
Accountability. Yeah.
You know, like, I see what's happening and you need to pump the brakes.
Yes.
So.
Well, it's all really good. Thank you for coming on.
Of course.
Is there anything else you want to say or share or yell at the guys about?
Oh, man. I'm done yelling at the guys.
Maybe that's for the best.
Thank y'all so much for tuning in to today's episode of That's What He Said. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I hope you're taking away something valuable that will benefit your dating life. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please give this show a follow, rate, and review. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, like this video, and most importantly, comment below because I want to hear what you said. See you next time.